Hi y'all, it's Elizabeth again. I was informed that my first video, the video of the first of my story, the audio was difficult to hear, so I'm being forced to re-record. Trying it this way, maybe the sound will cooperate. You know, and as I sat here thinking about it, how do you talk about something like this, like truly, except just spit it out there. But one thing I've learned in my experience about trying to explain what happened and how it impacted my life, I have found that folks get hung up on the who of the situation and not the what. So for those that could hear, you already know. For those that couldn't, well, I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. I've got a headache and I'm tired, but for the last better part of 3.5 years, going on 4 now, I was targeted by an individual on the internet. I mean, that's enough to lose half anybody who might listen to this, but I was targeted by an individual on the internet claiming to be, we'll just say, somebody I was familiar with, right? And of course I didn't believe it at first. I mean, a little part of me, I was a broken woman. My head was not okay. Narcissistic abuse is like that. I've found that I find it the hardest to communicate when I'm being the most gaslit. And I've come to realize and understand that that has to do with the fact that you're almost afraid to speak. In fact, at times you are afraid to speak, because if you do, it's going to be something. You can't have a normal reaction to anything. You can't get upset over anything, because the minute you get upset, that's when you're the bad guy. And they'll paint it all the way like that too. I have found that the guiltiest dog barks the loudest and first. You know, but back to my story. It's been so hard for me to talk about this because I've been nothing but dismissed by everybody. Everybody. I even tried reaching out a little bit online. Hey, is there anybody else like me? Am I the only one? I can't be the only one. I know I'm not the only one. The news has stories about this. I can't be the only one. And I'm really trying so hard not to focus on the past, y'all. I was targeted by an individual on the internet. Back to where I was going with that. I was approached by an individual on the internet using, by all intents and purposes, what's a fake persona. Alright? But I took it to a certain agency, you know, the feds. I went to them. I went to them asking them for help. it really just kind of brushed me away. At the time, I did what I thought was right. Especially if this individual is saying, hey, I got people pretending to be me. Don't believe everybody you talk to. But as time went on and I was dragged into situations because of love. See, the hardest thing about all this is it wasn't just falling in love with what I thought was somebody else. That's what people don't get. That hurts. Have you ever fallen in love with someone you thought loved you, but they didn't? Like, at all? Like, at all? Even though they were pretending to? And wouldn't it be worse? You're sitting there talking on your phone to whoever, and you think you're talking to whoever, but you're not talking to whoever. You're talking to somebody else. Psych. What? Very broken. Very. The damage has been very real in my life. To most folks, it's just a news story. Most folks, it's just a psyop or that. But these are real people. The ones being hurt are real people. So after all this time, and at some point, I became disenchanted. I did. And I started seeing the inconsistencies, the things that were really weird, and the fact that I was literally being stalked. And it didn't matter what I did to try to get away from them. There was no getting away from them. They had their hooks in me. Didn't matter how far I went, what I did, nothing. To those involved, I forgive you. But may the Lord reward you according to your works. The Who was a celebrity, and that makes it even more fanciful. Well, you know it couldn't possibly be. Why couldn't it be? Because he says it's not him? Because he says so? Because he says so. Okay. We're going to believe that. Can you truly trust somebody who is paid to put on an act? They've learned how to do it. They're good at it. I was stupid. Very stupid. But God fights my battles, not me. It's out of my hands. I have no control over the way that God decides to move. But I'm going to say publicly, whether or not, whatever you say, whatever the truth is, which probably we'll never get, forgive you. Chris Young, I forgive you. I do. I'm sure it don't matter, but I forgive you.